If I told you all that I could give you all the secrets far in advance, the cheat code to leadership, what would you all say? Would you take it? Or would you say, I want to experience the challenges, the highs and lows for myself? Well, depending on your answer, season 6 is going to be all about leadership hacks. So you can either listen or you can just skip this whole entire season, which I would not recommend, but either way, you're going to get something out of this season, and I'm excited to get going on this one. Stay with me. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. I am your host, John Espinosa. Welcome everybody to the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast. Hey everyone, John here. Welcome to the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast. I can't tell you how excited I am. I'm always excited for these episodes, but these openers, as we get into the seasons, I get more and more energized because I am excited for you all to dig in. Hopefully the way that we're breaking these genres, these topics up is helpful. So if you want to go back to any one of the seasons, we may even do like an end of the year season review. But either way, the important thing is that you all are getting something out of this. If you are new to the Leaders Leading Leaders podcast, welcome. Welcome to the Go Be Great community. There's no other community better to be a part of. Everybody is in it for their teams, and it meets our mission of getting others to where they're going. I don't know how to say it better than that. You all hear me say that on every episode. I close with that. But that's what this leadership journey is all about. I had a great conversation today with a future leader, and it wasn't like about leadership. A lot of it had to do with the hacks, the things that we're going to talk about in this season's episodes. And it was unplanned. He walked in, he sat down. It was one of those conversations that I didn't know where it was going. But as we started to peel back the layers and really unpack what this individual was looking for, looking to aspire to be, it was all about leadership. So they felt as if the energies weren't matching. They were bringing energy to the organization, and the organization wasn't giving back that same energy. And I don't know if any of you out there have had that feeling, but it can be equated to a feeling of lost, a feeling of like you're not valued, you're not bringing any value to the organization. You're just coming in, punching the clock, doing the bare minimum, doing what you have to do, pushing buttons on the computer, pushing buttons on whatever you're doing, going through the motions, and then clocking out and going home, and then waking up and doing it all over again. Has anybody been in one of those positions? I'm sure we can all relate to a job, or maybe it was even a volunteer position that you had all these big aspirations about getting in, making a difference, changing the world. And when you got in there, it just wasn't quite the way that you anticipated. So whether you are a new leader or you're thinking about getting into leadership, or maybe those seasoned leaders out there, I try to cover all of that for you, where you all get some practical takeaways. And with that, hopefully you learn something, you implement it, and then you go help somebody else get to where they're going, you share it, things like that. So for the most part, we base the episodes for this season around the question, if you could go back in time, what would you like to know day one? What skills, what knowledge, what abilities would you like to have on day one of you taking over that new leadership role? And that generated a lot of different topics, right? So we narrowed it down to 10 or 12 topics, and that's what this season is going to be about. Those are the episodes that we're going to create in this season. So you are not going to want to miss it. You're going to want to make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, so that way you get alert notifications. It pops up in your playlist when the new episodes come out. We publish 3 a week. And I want you to give me a thumbs up. I am looking for that thumbs up, or give me a thumbs down. If this isn't meeting the mark, if the topic was off for you, I don't mind a thumbs down. That gives me a lot of feedback on what to bring you all next. And this season, I'm going to try, every season I try something new. Last season, we tried a book review, and I'm going to continue that. I got a lot of great feedback on the book review. James Clear, Atomic Habits. If you haven't picked up that book or haven't listened to that podcast, I'd go back and take a listen to that episode. They're my takeaways. I don't go through the whole entire book. As you all know, I try to keep things, within that under 15-minute mark for you all, digestible chunks, but go take a listen. This season, no different. I'm going to take a book that I'm reading or that I've read, and I'll break it down. I always put notes in my phone on the books that I read. I listen to a lot of Audible books, and I take those notes, I journal them, and I figure out what are the important points that I want to communicate to you all. And that's a book review, an old-fashioned like book report. This season, though, I got a surprise. And so you're not going to want to miss this, really. Hopefully, this season also, one of the I'm just super excited because we upgraded technology here in the studio. So hopefully you all see the difference. You hear the difference. I got a new camera, and that's part of the surprise is I'm able to take this camera. I needed something when I traveled rather than my MacBook to take with me, set up on a tripod, set up on a gimbal or something to where you all are still getting that same quality of video. And then I got some really cool lapel mics plugged right into the camera that audio should be as good as well, rather than all going through the MacBook. So that is one surprise. You all are going to see that difference. And then the second surprise that I have for you all, and I really haven't labeled the topic or the series that I want to call this, but it's going to be real talk. And it's going to be me, unscripted. You could even call it unscripted. I don't know, Leaders Leading Leaders Unscripted or John Unscripted. I'll let you all vote. You all tell me, put them down in the comments what you think it should be. Let me tell you a little bit about it though. So I'm going to sit outside on my patio. I love my patio. I love to decompress out there. And sometimes I'll be solo. Sometimes we'll go over comments and I'll just answer them similar to like a live session. I may even go live. I don't know. It's going to be, again, put it down in comments. What do you all want? What do you all want to see? I'm open to anything. Pick my brain if you want Q&A with John. I don't know, but it's going to be really, really cool. And I hope that it's going to be value added to you, the leader, because that's what this is all about. I want to give you all and share my experience getting into leadership, before leadership, thinking about leadership, the hesitations that I had that surrounded leadership. I built it up for those people who haven't taken the leap. And I talk to a lot of people who, I don't see myself in management, but I see leadership potential in them. And sometimes you don't see it in yourself, but others see it in you. That was my experience. I had a manager sit me down and ask me, hey, you're doing great. I want to have a development conversation with you. Where do you see yourself in the next, 6 months to a year? And my answer was, I see myself leading projects, managing projects. That was my comfort zone at that time. And they said, I think you would be good at leading people. And I sat back and I never really thought about that before. But if they hadn't introduced that concept to me, who knows? And I didn't take on that responsibility like the next day in 6 months. I think it was a good 2 to 3 years before I jumped into my first official management role. But I was leading way, way, way before I took on the official title as manager or supervisor. So I want to share those experiences with you. I just jotted down a couple of the topics that we already have on the lineup to record and send out. So one of them, team dynamics. How many of you have had experience with managing teams? The group dynamics of storming, forming, norming, and performing, strengths and weaknesses from everybody, personality traits, communication styles. You walking into a leadership role, you don't have to know it all. You don't have to know the entire psychological meaning or background behind team dynamics. But we're going to give you some tips and tricks starting day one that you can implement when it comes to team dynamics. Another one, how do you process failure? When somebody fails on the team or when you fail yourself, how does that get processed both mentally, and then how do you treat others whenever they may fail in a project? How do you treat yourself, and how does that project onto your team? So we're going to talk about that. Big one, and we're always talking about the left, what happens between my left ear and right ear, everything in between that's going on up here is the biggest challenge that I have, and probably, I don't know if anybody's in the same boat. It may be you that you have. So we're going to talk about imposter syndrome. Walking into a leadership position, man, there is a lot of, what if I do something wrong? What am I supposed to know everything? And, do I have to have all the answers? And when that doesn't go the way that you build it up in your mind, it can be pretty devastating. So we'll talk about that. Delegation, how to get things done. The triple D's. I'm going to share with you my triple D's. And, last but not least, it is about helping people get going or get started or take that leap. I want to share a story with you all. And it was a story that really, I had to jump into leadership because I realized what I was being asked to do, I didn't feel comfortable doing it. Let's go back. I was in leadership. I was working with senior executives in the organization. I was strategic planning. I was coming up with culture, values, implementation, running all hands meetings, organizational type meetings, scheduling things, putting together agendas. I knew that part. Man, I was laser focused on everything that had to do with that. I was approached one day and my senior leader asked me to think about putting together a leadership program for frontline leaders. And, at first I always took on challenges. I would go home, I'd start to sketch out mind map around what that would look like, my thoughts, just my initial thoughts, and then begin to organize those later on. And while I was doing that, I got this uneasy feeling in my stomach. And I began to look at what I had on the board. And I'm looking up because I always have a whiteboard in my offices, in my rooms. That's how I think. I think out loud. And I was looking at the board and I began to come to the realization that I didn't quite understand everything that went into managing, leading, supervising people directly. Sure, I knew the leadership philosophy, the coach approach, mentoring, all of that, because I had done that. I had been in those roles before. I had taught people how to do those roles. But what I was missing was the day-to-day grind. And it's like no other. If you're not in that mindset and you get asked a question, or you're in a situation where you're in front of a group and they say, well, I have this performance discussion. Time management is a big challenge that we all have. So I have performance discussions I need to get done. I have appraisals. I have, time and attendance. I may have check-ins with my team. All of the things that I had never really done myself, I quickly realized I needed to get in. I needed to jump in and get my hands dirty in those things. And I'm not saying that's the approach that you all need to take, but that was my experience. And that was my aha moment. And that's what pushed me into taking on a frontline manager job. And for me, I never do things the easy way. I could have easily stepped into a frontline manager job in my existing organization, but I completely went 180 outside to another organization I knew nothing about. And I'm still learning today, but I knew nothing about that organization, about the expertise, other than the mission vision, a little bit about the work that they did, but that was it. And it was very little. So again, and I onboarded in a virtual environment. This was post-COVID and we were all virtual. So talk about taking on a position virtually, but now I can share that experience because now we're in a hybrid environment and I was used to face-to-face. What I didn't know was the virtual piece, but now I do, or I'm learning. I got my hands around it. So where I'm going with this is this next season is all about helping you be a better leader day one, or maybe you're on day 5, 6, 7, 10 years down the road. But why we got into leadership day one, if you are a seasoned leader and you're looking at, 5, 10, 15, 20 years of experience, probably isn't the same reason why you continue to be in leadership that much longer. Our values change, our culture changes, we learn more about ourselves, and hopefully we project onto our teams, we project onto our leaders. And that's what this journey is all about, is making sure that we are creating a sustainable organization. Because let me tell you a secret, leaders, when you leave, when you retire, when you sell the company, if you hit the lotto and you walk out tomorrow, the work's going to continue. It will continue, and it might not even miss a beat. It may hit a couple little speed bumps along the way, but they're going to get the job done. The organization, life is going to move on. So what you need to ask yourself is, what legacy do you want to leave? Do you want to innovate and leave streamlined processes and procedures? Do you want to build a culture where people want to come work for that culture? It's easy to recruit. When you first got there, maybe, you had to go beat the bushes to get anybody to come into the organization. Now it's flourishing. Everybody wants to come work for you. You got to beat them off with a stick. But what legacy do you want to leave for that particular organization? And that's what fuels me. That's what fuels my leadership fire, if you want to call it that, is making sure that the organization is left in a better place than when I got there. And it's not about me. It's not about you, the leader. It is all about the people that we work with and we trust and we encourage and we are there for every day. That's what it's about. And when you finally realize that, things will get easier. I promise. They may be hard. They may be challenging. Doesn't mean we don't have tough days, but you're going to create that capacity. So stick with us in season 6, all about leadership hacks. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Give us a thumbs up if you like this content. Leave us comments, leave us questions. That's what fuels me. That's what makes sure that I'm delivering relevant content for you. So make sure that you're, doing me a favor, doing yourself a favor. If you want to hear about something, by all means, I'll get it into the rotation and we'll get it out. I hope everybody is excited for season 6 as I am. Go be great. When we as leaders become better, that's when we start pouring into others so we can help others get to where they're going. Talk to everyone later. Stick around for season 6. Bye. If you like what you're hearing, do us a favor, click on that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, or leave a comment. That lets us know that what we are putting out benefits you. If you want additional information or resources or learn how to work with me, head on over to thejohnespinosa.com, because when we become better versions of ourselves, it helps us get others to where they're going. Go be great. Talk to everyone later.